Hello, my name is Sunanda Vashisht and I have come from United States to participate in this Y20 consultation meet that is being held under the aegis of G20, and it is my privilege to be speaking at this exalted platform, and especially in University of Jammu. I believe University of Jammu was chosen out of 15 campuses to represent Y20, and it is so important that we bring these platforms to especially places like Jammu and talk to them about and talk to the youth and interact with the youth and talk about the problems that they are facing, and sometimes also listen to their solutions, and instead of talking to them, it's important that we hear from them. So Y20 is a very interesting platform because we not only just get to talk at them, we also listen to them, and that's what we have happened today, and especially in a place like Jammu, which has been in the shadows for a very long time due to the terrorism in Kashmir. To bring this and to bring the youth of Jammu into the mainstream is exceptionally well done, and I congratulate the Y20 Secretariat and I congratulate G20 for inviting me for this year and conducting this so beautifully. And I would like to request youth of all cities in India, all Indian youth, to join this movement and come and participate in all the events. If the event is happening in a city near you, do come and join us, and if you have an idea, there will be a platform found for you. Thank you so much.
We have a wonderful panel here. Sunanda from US has come all the way. Of course, Arun, Mr. Tanveer, and my friend Tushar as well. So let me begin by going to Sunanda. And when I hear the name Sunanda Vashisht, the first thing that comes to my mind is her brilliant and bold speech at the US congressional hearing. A round of applause for that, really. Many months ago at midnight, I was listening to her, I was recording that entire speech, and immediately I tweeted that out. It really went viral all across, from cabinet ministers to even opposition leaders. Everybody had been retweeting, what she said. So my first question to you, because you are in your homeland, and you represented your homeland in many ways, the voice of the minority at the Top Directors Commission. How difficult is it, sitting in the United States and convincing the people out there, particularly not the government, the non-governmental structure, about the reality and the facts of Jammu and Kashmir? How do you see this kind of a narrative or a propaganda being built all across the West? And you've seen that very closely. You've been campaigning for the facts and the truth and the justice to really emerge. Narrate to us what happened at that time and then a wider picture.
Thank you, Aditya, for your kind introduction, and you did take me back to that. And I remember when I made that deposition in US Congress, it was night time in India, but Aditya was awake, and I remember he was watching it, and by the time India woke up, he had already tweeted it, and he had already, I think he and I both got very, very emotional. I didn't have a chance to, we talked later, but it was a pretty emotional moment for me and for my entire community. And, taking the segue from there, but first of all, I must thank Jammu University for facilitating my trip here. I speak about Jammu and Kashmir, and I'm saying Jammu and Kashmir because I speak about both. Wherever I go around the world, I talk about Jammu and Kashmir, but I've never had the opportunity to talk about Jammu and Kashmir in my beloved J&K. So this is the first time really, and a pretty historical moment for me, that I am addressing, and I hope our moderator will allow me a small parochial happiness here, that I am absolutely delighted to be talking to my people in the language that they understand, and I am happy to hear from them in the language that I understand. So, and this is just the language of It's not the definition of language that we normally understand. It is the definition of the language here is of suffering and of of a long time of suffering from non-state actors as well as from violent non-state actors and non-violent non-state actors. Coming back to the topic now, we're talking about, I will come to Aditya's question in a minute. He specifically asked me about how J&K is perceived in the West. But before that, I just want to say a few things, that even though we're talking about war and peace, the definition of war and peace really have changed, and I think the United Nations hasn't upgraded itself. And because United Nations hasn't upgraded itself, the international law hasn't upgraded itself. Because war now, we very rarely, and even though we're in the middle of a war in Ukraine, I mean there's Europe, and we do see, but overall, the inter-armed conflict between the states has gone down. We don't see as many armies marching into the different countries for the sake of territory or for the sake of, which usually used to be the case. Post-1945 world order did one thing, that most countries, I'm not talking about all countries, but most countries at least agreed that war cannot be an instrument of statecraft anymore. It hasn't always been the case. We have seen wars, but by and large, even the countries that go to the war immediately talk about peace later, because it's understood that war cannot be an instrument of statecraft anymore. If there is absence of war, then there should be peace. So if there is absence of war, as we are saying, not absence or relatively fewer wars, why is the society not more peaceful? The answer to that is the wars may have gone down, but the conflicts have increased. And these conflicts they come from the fault lines that exist within the society. And then post-globalization, the non-state actors, the number of non-state actors has grown so much. And when we talk about non-state actors, we usually think about terrorists. And on this platform, I want to say that I do not worry about terrorists as much, because the minute somebody picks up the gun, the state knows what to do. The state will fix that. I am always worried about non-violent non-state actors who, under the garb of bringing peace, are only exasperating fault lines and then increasing conflicts. I think this forum, as in general, should be focusing on that more than anything else. And then when we say non-state actors, from the vantage point of where I am sitting, maybe in India, yes, there are non-state actors because they probably are not answerable to the state of India, but non-state actors that work in J&K are answerable to some state. I don't have to tell you which state they are answerable to, just the neighboring state right here. So these non-state actors also are state actors, and this has been happening in J&K since 1947, Aditya, from the first war, with what I call first war of independence, and not tribal invasion that has been said in our history books. We really need to talk about first war of independence for Kashmir. When our neighbor sent the first batch of non-state actors to this Kashmir, Jammu suffered as in the process, and the whole POJK, I don't have to go through the history in this auditorium, everyone knows what we lost at that time. So we have actually lost land, we have lost a part of our civilization, we have lost our country. This is post-war, this is post-partition, when non-state actors came and attacked us. And for the longest time, and still today, we call it tribal invasion or tribal conflict or tribal raid. कश्मीरी भाषा में तो हम उसको कबायली रेड कहते हैं, पता नहीं क्यों कहते हैं कबायली रेड. It was a war by non-state actors. So non-state actors also work on behalf of states, and they have the potential to totally disrupt the lives of people, as in this state we have been seeing. And now going back to Aditya's question, that what do I see in the West and why is it so difficult to bring about the narrative, the real narrative of J&K? If I told somebody, a lawmaker, or somebody, I do talk to a lot of lawmakers in the West, or if I talk to people who are in the position of policy making, if I had told them that I am going to J&K, they normally think that I am going, J&K is just Kashmir and it is just the hellhole of terrorism. If I go back and tell them that I address this wonderful hundreds of people who were sitting and joking with me outside in the lunch area, they will never believe me because they think that Kashmir is in a state of siege. Now, why is this narrative there? Because now in post 1945 world order, the agenda of non-state actors who are working for some state, all right, is not to get territory, but it is to have a control on the narrative of the country where they are, because the terrorist organizations or the big tech organizations or the NGOs, they are borderless. So they work in different countries, and the idea is to have a narrative which is probably suitable to them or to their handler somewhere. We may not have been able to identify that state, we don't know who it is, but it is some state, all right. Because it doesn't happen without some kind of state patronage somewhere. So on this platform, it's very important that we call out those states today and we talk to them and we call out United Nations for not being able to, even after what India has suffered, even after what United States has suffered, not being able to come up with a definition of terrorism. If you are not able to define terrorism, then I would request United Nations Security Council members to come with me in the bylanes of Jammu and the bylanes of Srinagar, and every child will tell them what terrorism is. Terrorism is when you are terrorized and when one group of individuals would like to make your state or make your place homogeneous and not have any diversity. Why is it so difficult to understand? I myself have been a victim of genocide. I don't have to, most of you know this. And till now, it is because of the non-state actors, most people in mainstream media still feel that it was Governor Jammu who arranged the buses and arranged for our planned exodus. I don't know how people leave their home of 5,000 years just because one governor comes in the era of pre-internet, pre-WhatsApp, pre-social media and communicates to everyone कि चलो उठ के निकल जाते हैं, अब क्या है, let's go, गर्मी के इलाके में जाते हैं. So we have not been able to control even that bit of narrative, even though there has been some improvement made. The real reason I think is that most people, journalists who work with global liberal media, I hold them responsible, writers, NGOs who supposedly work for peace, they have never traveled to J&K, but they will sit and they will just make opinions about this. Because when I tell, as I said, when I tell them that I went to J&K, they will first ask me that, did you have to wear a bulletproof vest? Because they don't understand that there is a difference between Jammu and Kashmir, and not everything is under siege. So I will just stop here and we will come back again. But my point is that non-state actors have only been detrimental in J&K. There may have been some good things that they might have done everywhere else, but in J&K we have not seen the good side of any non-state actor, and I'm not just talking about the violent non-state actors. So I'll stop here and then we'll come back. Thank you.
Sunanda,